We have Phillip, Luswata from Uganda. Phillip, you are renowned for your work. He's the most humble of them all because he's given the shortest profile. So, very small ego, we'll try and massage it a bit more. You're renowned for your work in East African theatre and film. You're a lecturer at Makerere University, the oldest university in the East Africa region, historically, therefore a massive reputation, and the home for people of my generation. We hear Okop Bitek, Song of Lawino, we hear Robert Serumaga, so Ugandans are it. You pioneered sketch comedy performance in Kampala, revolutionizing the local entertainment scene. You nurture young talent through the Playwrights Playhouse and the Wava Community Theatre Space. No, the question was slightly more philosophical, because we're addressing this idea of an audience, having a dedicated audience, people who feel a great obligation, for whom performance is part of their daily lives. You've got a space, with a bit of luck you've got some electricity. Who comes to see you every week?
That's the other thing that we were fighting against, because the National Theatre, we feel, has been, part of the death of art. Generally, I would say, in East Africa, our national theatres have had the problem, because national theatre, that's government, isn't it? So without support for these small spaces, you found that all art was centered in the city center, because that's where you find the National Theatre. So everyone thinks, for me to consume theatre, I have to go to the city. So we set up our space in a suburb. So it's pretty much a community theatre where our audience, a daily audience, is the woman who sells chips next door, the market woman, the border guy passing with his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's who watch us.
Right. Can I please again draw you on this question of freedom of expression in Uganda? Would you reply, as our South African sister has, you can do anything, anywhere, without fear of state reprisal?
I'll tell you.
Because again, we read our papers. We know we saw a documentary the other day about Bobby Wine, and he was being lead up to the. So whether it was some kind of imperialist plot to show this and show how bad things were, but it was a 1-hour documentary. I don't know whether they were to see. The poor bugger was sort of going around. He was being followed. He was being beaten. The paramilitary people pitched up in his garden, and it looked like this was a terrible place for the artist to be. As a Ugandan, was that image making or a reflection of reality?
Well, to be honest, talking about censorship, I'll give you an experience. I went to the US once and went to watch a play. It was supposed to be avant-garde. And on entering into the building, the first thing I saw was 2 naked men lying on the floor with their, what are they called?
Penises, I think they're called, yeah.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I didn't know they are still called that.
Yes.
But yeah, so I entered, watched the play, and I thought, well, if this is what freedom of expression means, then I think now I know what kind of freedom of expression I do not want. So censorship, I've always told people, is a very great opportunity for you to create better art. Because if you have too much freedom, then what's language? And Africans, we are self-censors. From even before, we have always been self-censors. And you always find to say, if I want to say those things you mentioned,
yes,
I might want to package them in a different way. And censorship gives you opportunity to be able to say these things musically, through dance, rather than say them, Serumaga did it in Rengamoy.
Yes.
A play with no speech. And that ended up being great art.
Yes.
So there is something to lose without censorship. So, but in Uganda, I do not think we've ever really had that, while it might be implied, there's nobody who has ever been stopped from doing the kind of theater that they want to do. I did a play, 30 Years of Bananas, I think after Alex, we did it again.
Yes.
And it was at the 40th time, I think Museveni was still running. And everyone said, hey, are you attacking? Everyone who came to interview us, say, are you saying something to Museveni? I said, but why should I be telling Museveni anything? I'm just doing a great play. If he sees himself in 30 Years of Bananas, because he does appear as the guy who didn't have ears. The bust, and we are saying, we hope this man has ears. Of course he didn't have.
Yeah.
He'll see himself.
Yes.
If he thinks he's the one, then
Yes.
that's it. And that's what art does.
Sure.
I don't need to come out overt. I can be covert about it.
Right.
So I do not think we have a problem of being able to say things. We just say them. But maybe it's that generational gap again,
Yeah.
like we have here, where there's no bridge between the previous generations and the current generations in how we can create great art.
Right.
We had one of our greatest actors in theater makers. He was called to go something. He was the most obscene playwright. But if you went and watched his plays, they were the most innocent. The most innocent. But you'd find people falling over themselves because you get it. If you don't, you will not enjoy the play. So censorship is not necessarily really bad, and we don't have a big problem. It's just maybe the hunger for people not to want to be creative and wanting to say things bluntly, which is not polite in Africa.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, thank you very much.